The movie begins by introducing a group consisting of Todd and his girlfriend Beth, Josh and his girlfriend Sarah, Joe and his girlfriend Carol, and lastly Peter, Beth's younger brother. Initially, they plan to go on a skiing trip to a resort, and to reach their destination, they must pass through a route surrounded by a vast desert. Armed only with a map, they drive toward the ski resort. To get there faster, they decide to take a shortcut indicated on the map. Unfortunately, after driving for a long time, they end up getting lost in the middle of the desert. At first, Peter suggests they turn back and return to the main road, but Josh refuses, claiming they have already strayed too far from it. With nightfall upon them, they decide to rest and continue their trip the next morning. In the darkness of the night, they begin to share stories with each other. To make the night more enjoyable, they hold a small party, drinking alcohol. Meanwhile, Peter is playing inside the van when he decides to go out after hearing a noise coming from the bushes. When he goes to check what it is, Todd suddenly appears and scares him. Todd then invites Peter to join the others so he won't be alone. After everyone gathers, Joe starts a story about his experience on Mount Everest, where he and his team were assigned to look for evidence of the existence of the Yeti. After spending days on Mount Everest without finding any sign of the Yeti, one of Joe's colleagues, named Simon, frustrated and reckless, decided to search for the Yeti on his own. From that moment on, Simon mysteriously vanished. The rescue team attempted to locate him, but was unsuccessful. The only thing they found was one of Simon's boots, which was stained with blood. With the discovery of the bloody boot, it was believed that Simon had been attacked and brutally murdered by something that remains mysterious. To this day, the cause of his disappearance continues to be a mystery. Some of them feel deeply unsettled by the story, but Josh dismisses it as just a made-up tale to scare them. Thus, they continue their party and keep drinking. After consuming too much, Josh feels the need to urinate, and as he walks away, Carol approaches him and directly admits that she wants to have an affair with him, even though she is dating Joe. Josh leaves Carol and quickly spots Beth, who is still awake. After this, he approaches her, and they begin to talk. As both are drunk and unaware of it, Josh and Beth end up making love. Their intimate act is secretly observed by Carol. Before they realize it, morning arrives, and they start organizing their things inside the van. When Josh tries to start the van, it won't turn on, forcing him to check the engine. Unfortunately, the van's battery is dead, making it impossible to start the vehicle. Not wanting to be stuck in the barren desert, they grab their cell phones and attempt to contact someone, only to realize that none of the phones have a signal. They begin to accept the situation and can only wait for someone to come into the desert to rescue them. Fortunately, they still have enough food and drink for the next few days. Since they are trapped in a barren desert, they need to conserve the water, otherwise they will suffer from dehydration. Todd then has the idea to walk to the main road, hoping to find another driver who might give them a ride. Before leaving, Todd grabs a bottle of water, as the distance to be covered is quite long and the weather is extremely hot. The others are instructed to stay inside the van to avoid direct sunlight, since exposure to the sun will make them thirstier more quickly. Beth, who is anxious because her boyfriend Todd is going alone to the main road, asks him to be careful. Todd is advised to return in the afternoon, as if it gets dark, it will be harder for him to find his way, which could lead to him getting lost. Then, Todd sets off toward the main road to look for passing drivers. Shortly after Todd's departure, Josh is seen talking to Beth about what happened between them. They soon realize that this was the biggest mistake they could have made, as if their partners find out, the situation will become much worse and their relationships could be ruined. As Beth truly loves Todd, she asks Josh to keep the incident a secret. Not long after Beth leaves, Josh is approached by Carol. Carol, who witnessed the intimate act between Josh and Beth the night before, begins to threaten Josh, saying that if he refuses to have sex with her, she will reveal the secret to everyone. Despite the threat, Josh still refuses to have relations with Carol. As a result, Carol immediately tells Josh's girlfriend, Sarah, that Josh made love to Beth the night before. At first, Sarah does not believe Carol, but driven by curiosity, she approaches Beth to ask about the matter. When pressed repeatedly, Beth hesitantly speaks and refuses to admit what happened, leading Sarah to become increasingly convinced that Beth and Josh had an affair. As time passes, the day progresses towards late afternoon, and night begins to approach. Fortunately, Todd returns just in time, easing everyone's worry. Todd explains that no vehicles passed by the main road, and even after checking his phone several times in hopes of getting a signal, nothing worked. They begin to realize they are truly trapped in the arid desert, with limited food and water supplies. Upon hearing this, Sarah blames everyone for taking the shortcut foolishly and expresses her frustration angrily. Joe tries to calm Sarah down, reminding her that being angry will only drain their energies. As night falls, Sarah uses binoculars and spots a light in the distance that seems to be a car passing. However, suddenly, the light disappears, probably because the driver stopped for the night and will continue their journey the next morning. While they sleep, Sarah and Joe suddenly hear noises that seem to come from a wild animal. Joe quickly tells everyone to stay inside the van to ensure safety. After several hours, Peter wakes up to urinate. While doing so, he is attacked by a wild animal. Fortunately, Peter manages to return to the van in time. However, the attack does not stop there, as the wild animal continues to damage various parts of the van. Joe then asks Peter what he saw, but Peter cannot clearly explain, as the area is extremely dark and he didn't see what attacked him. After this, Joe tells everyone to try to sleep and says that in the morning they will go out to check the condition of the van. In summary, morning comes and they start to inspect the vehicle, only to find deep claw marks from a wild animal on the van's body. As their food and water supplies continue to diminish, Joe asks Josh and Todd to head towards the adjacent mountains and look from above for any houses or signs of civilization that they could reach. Following Joe's instructions, Josh and Todd immediately set off along the suggested route. Before leaving, Beth tightly hugs Todd, showing how much she loves him. After Josh and Todd walk away, Sarah approaches Beth and directly asks if Beth made love to Josh the night before. With the question, Beth is forced to admit that she did sleep with Josh, as they were both extremely drunk at the time. Even though Beth apologizes, Sarah refuses to forgive her. Soon after Sarah leaves, Carol appears with an arrogant attitude, and Beth realizes that all this trouble was caused by Carol. A heated argument begins between them, but fortunately, Joe and Peter quickly step in and interrupt the fight before things escalate. Meanwhile, Todd and Josh are on their way to the mountains. During the journey, Todd tells Josh that he intends to marry Beth soon, which shocks Josh. Josh then asks Todd if he really loves Beth, and Todd becomes confused by the question, feeling that instead of supporting him, Josh seems to oppose the marriage. Todd asks Josh why he does not agree with his plan, but instead of answering, Josh insists on continuing the journey. Todd continues asking questions until Josh finally confesses that he made love to Beth while they were both extremely drunk. Upon hearing this confession, Todd becomes furious and violently attacks Josh. Realizing that fighting will resolve nothing, Todd eventually stops and decides to set this issue aside for now so they can proceed in their mission to find help. On the way, they encounter the same car they noticed the night before, but to their horror, all the passengers inside are dead and covered in blood. What happened to them is uncertain, but the sight leaves Todd and Josh terrified. Overwhelmed by fear, they begin to run and decide to return to their friends. Fortunately, before it gets dark, Todd and Josh manage to return to the group. They tell everyone about the car they saw and how the people inside were brutally murdered, probably by the wild animal that roams the desert. As Todd and Josh explain what they saw, the wild creature suddenly appears again, causing panic among everyone. After things seem momentarily safe, Josh gathers courage and tries to get closer to the creature that has been pursuing them. When Josh lets his guard down, the beast suddenly attacks, forcing him to retreat into the van. Unfortunately, the creature manages to get inside the van as well, leaving them no choice but to flee outside. Everyone manages to escape the van except Carol, who is brutally attacked by the creature. As a result, Carol is gravely injured, and her condition becomes critical. When morning arrives, Joe, unable to bear Carol's suffering, makes the painful decision to end her life to spare her further pain. What they need to do now is work together to get the van running again. Joe and Josh then decide to return to the car that Josh had previously seen to take its battery and install it in the van. Without wasting time, Josh and Joe run as fast as they can toward the abandoned car. In this way, Josh and Joe reach the vehicle and find it covered in blood, surrounded by several corpses that are already decomposing. As the car is severely damaged, they open the engine compartment and remove the battery. After securing the battery, they run back to install it in the van. Meanwhile, Todd is mourning after discovering that Beth slept with Josh. Beth has already tried to apologize to Todd, but no matter how many apologies she gives, it does not change Todd's decision to end the relationship. As night falls, the group becomes increasingly anxious, as Josh and Joe have not yet returned. After a long wait, Josh and Joe finally appear, but they do not realize that the wild creature has begun to pursue them. Joe, who is older and unable to run fast enough, is brutally torn apart and killed. Fortunately, Josh manages to reach the van in time. As Josh is the only one who knows about cars, he is forced to go out again to install the battery. After a difficult struggle, Josh finally manages to replace the van's battery. The only thing they need now is the key to start the engine. When Josh searches for the key in his backpack, he panics when he realizes it is not there. The key fell because his backpack was torn. Josh believes the key must have fallen near the abandoned car when he grabbed the battery. With no other choice, they wait inside the van until morning, so Josh can look for the lost key. All they can do is surrender to the situation and pray that the creature does not attack again. However, not long after, the beast attacks the van once more. This time, Beth becomes the victim and is horrifically killed. Now only Todd, Josh, Sarah, and Peter remain alive. When morning arrives, the four immediately set off to search for the lost key nearby. On the way, Todd is tormented by the pain of witnessing Beth's tragic death. Josh, who is also grieving, tries to comfort Todd and asks him to let Beth go. Enraged, Todd punches Josh repeatedly, overcome by anger due to the affair he had with Beth. Todd, unable to control his fury, ends up killing Josh by strangulation. Realizing that mourning did not bring any solution, Todd, Sarah, and Peter continue their journey. Eventually, they manage to find the lost van key that had fallen earlier. As it is getting late and night is approaching, they are forced to stay inside the car. Peter then has the idea to place the bodies inside the vehicle to mask the smell, hoping that the wild creature will not attack them again. The odor of the bodies manages to deceive the creature, allowing them to rest peacefully during the night. When morning comes, they return to the van. They arrive at the vehicle at dusk, and when they try to start the engine, the van still does not work. Todd realizes that something is wrong with the battery installation, so he goes out to check the connections. After fixing everything, Todd asks Peter to try starting the engine again, and this time the van works. As soon as they feel relieved, Todd is suddenly attacked by the wild creature and is killed instantly. Seeing Todd being devoured, Peter is filled with rage and collides with the creature using the van, killing it. Initially, Peter and Sarah believe everything is finally over, but they soon realize that there is not just one creature, but two. The remaining beast manages to kill both Peter and Sarah. The final scene shows a mysterious man arriving at the massacre site, revealing himself to be the owner of the monsters that killed so many people in the desert. He appears to be a psychopath who enjoys watching people die at the hands of his creatures. It is suggested that anyone who comes to this desert will meet the same tragic fate as Todd and his friends.